Hello everyone, welcome to the hop for Rosa Kelly's new collection, Santa Love. So in my project here, I used the collection, so the paper collection, and then I also used the ephemera and journaling card collection throughout this project, and I am going to be telling you as best as I can remember which pieces are from which collection, okay, as we do the tutorial. So it is a mini album in a box. It's a rectangular box with legs on it, so it's very, very beautiful for display purposes. The box itself is going to be a separate tutorial. It's already up and it's going to be linked right below this video. It's just, I didn't want to put it all in one video. It would just made it way too long. And then the album and the box are both going to be in the same cutting guide, and that's going to be linked below to my Etsy shop if you want to check that out. And that's going to have all your paper sizes, your chipboard sizes, your scoring, your mats, your pattern paper, everything's going to be in that cutting guide for you. And it's going to be linked right below to my Etsy shop, okay? So I'm going to put this aside and we'll take more of an in-depth look at this in the beginning of the video for this box, okay? So for our album, on the front here, I've done a few little die cuts, and then I use this adorable deer from the collection. He's so beautiful. And then I've used this pattern paper from the collection and on the spine as well. And on the back here, I use that cute little snowman in the trees. He's just gorgeous. I absolutely love it. So it opens up like this, and this album will fit over 50 photos. So it is small but mighty. So in the front here, I have a dedicated photo spot for December 1st, okay? So I absolutely love that idea. It has its own little spot, so this can be a picture of you decorating the tree, you know, baking some cookies, whatever you do that first day of December can be right here. And I did leave it open back here so you can stick your photo right back there. So that is the inside front cover. And then on page 1, we have a nice large pocket with a nice big insert that comes out. And then our cute little Santa spins aside. And this opens up when you have spots for 2 3x5 photos here. And then I just left this gorgeous spot for this gingerbread man. You can certainly put photos here, but I just wanted to enjoy that paper. And then this just closes back up like this. And then it opens up, and you have 2 spots for 2 4x6 photos in here. And then it opens to the second page. So the second page has a belly band, and we're again using that gorgeous ephemera. And there is a little booklet behind the belly band for cropped 3x5 photos. And this just goes back in there. And then I have 2 4x4 photo mats over here in this pocket. So 2 4x4 photo mats, so you can fit your 4x4 photos in there. And then it opens up, and again you have space for 2 4x6 photos. And then page 3 has a nice large insert at the top as well, in a nice large pocket where you can put all kinds of your photos. And then this little section here opens up, and this lifts up, and you have spots for 1 2 3 4 4x4 photos in here. And then it just closes back up just like this. And then you also have 2 4x6 photos in here. And then we go to page 4. So page 4 has a stacked pocket, and it has 2 inserts in the stacked pockets. Then we have 2 of our 4x4 inserts that come out of here again, so spots for 4x4 photos. Just go right back in here. And then this opens up for 2 4x6 photos. And then page 5 has a nice large insert back here again in a large pocket. And then this section opens up like this. and you have a spot for a 4x4 photo, and then some journaling. And again, here I'm just enjoying that adorable pattern paper. And then it just closes back up just like that. And then again, this opens up for 2 4x6 photos. And then page 6 has a diagonal pocket, so 2 diagonal pockets with a nice large insert, and then an adorable little elf girl. So it has a pocket here, and then it also has a pocket here, so you can put 2 different photo mats in there just like this. And then it has our 2 4x4 photo mats in the side pocket here, and then it opens up for your 2 4x6 photos. And then the very back page has the number 25. So this is from the ephemera, the journaling cards and ephemera, so that again we can document the 25th of December. And then this again is open, so you can slide it all the way under. So then it just closes back up and goes back into its cute little box. All right, so like I said, the cutting guide is linked below for this. I'll link to both of the collections, the Santa Love collections, and the dies that I used, and I will place the link to the tutorial for the box itself, okay? So enjoy the tutorial, guys. All right, guys, so let's first get started by wrapping our cover. So what I've got here is 3 pieces of my medium weight chipboard. So I have 2 pieces that measure 6.5 by 5 1/4. So 2 that are 6.5 by 5 1/4. And then I have 1 that's 2 by 6.5. This is going to be our spine piece, okay? Then to wrap our spine piece, you're going to need a piece that measures 4 by 8.5 of your lightweight pink cardstock. And then to wrap our 2 6.5 by 5 1/4 pieces, you're going to need 2 pieces of your lightweight pink cardstock that measures 7 1/4 by 8.5. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac or Beacon 3-in-1, whichever one you have, to wrap my cover with, well, at least to attach the chipboard. So first I will take one of my pieces of chipboard and one of my lightweight pink pieces and just glue that into the center of it. So I'm just using my glue. I'm sorry if you guys hear any weird noises. There is a big wind outside right now, and it's making some strange sounds. All right, so I'm going to glue this into the center here, just like this. And I like to always kind of give it a little bit of a wiggle, because then it kind of distributes that glue underneath. And then you can always turn it over and just give it a rub with your hands as well. So we'll let that one dry. And we're going to do the same thing to the other one. So our chipboard is 6.5 by 5 1/4, and our lightweight pink is 7 1/4 by 8.5. And we're just going to glue that on the same way. Just right into the center of this. So you're going to kind of want to maintain that inch border all the way around. And then just rub it from the back. And we'll let that one dry. And then I'm going to grab my spine piece. So it's 2 by 6.5, and my cardstock, my lightweight cardstock, is 4 by 8.5. So let's attach these two together. Just like so, and just put it right in the center, trying to maintain that inch border all the way around, and try to keep it straight as well. All right, so then we'll get this piece back in. So the first piece that we attached together I'm going to start folding my cardstock over top of my chipboard and then burnishing it. So what I do is I kind of just slowly fold it up over the chipboard like this, and then I burnish. So first, by doing it kind of slowly, you're slowly breaking those fibers in your cardstock so that you don't like break them, so you have breakage on the edge. We don't want that. Just like that. All right. So now by folding, you've created all these little squares in the corners, and we have to cut that away. But you don't want to cut all the way up to your chipboard. Let me grab my ruler so I can show you. You want to leave about 1/8 of an inch of space between your chipboard and your cardstock. So only about that much space, but you do want to leave a little bit, otherwise your cardstock won't completely cover your chipboard. So just cut that away all the way around. Just like this, okay? So then I'm going to grab my art glitter glue. So this is the art glitter glue with the fine tip. And first I'm going to put a little bit of glue right along the edge of my chipboard. And then I'm going to put it all over my little flap. And then I'm going to bring it over. And I'm going to press it down first with my fingers because I don't want to squish out all of that glue initially by putting the pressure of the bone folder. And then I just run a little bit along the edge there as well, like this. So you have a nice square edge. You can even pick it up and run it like that. Just like this. And then the same thing to the other side. Just put it right along the chipboard and up on the flap. And then bring it over and press it down with your fingers first. Then with your bone folder. Then you can pick it up and just square off that edge. Okay, so then same thing to this one. Get your glue along the chipboard and then all over the flap. Bring it over. Press it down with your fingers first. Then with your bone folder. Then you can pick it up and just square it off nicely so it has that nice square edge. And then this last one here, right along the chipboard, and then all over that flap. Bring it up first. And then with the bone folder. And then just run your bone folder over that edge. So we have a nice square cover for our book. So I'm going to do the other 5 1/4 by 6 1/2 piece of chipboard now. All right, so now we've wrapped our front and back covers. So now we're gonna work on our spine piece. All right, so what you're gonna wanna do is on these two shorter sides, so these sides here, you're gonna wanna take and fold your cardstock over top of your chipboard, okay? And give it a good crease. And then what I like to do is I like to actually burnish right beside my chipboard as well, right? So it gives it that nice crease in here. And it almost molds it to the chipboard. All right, then take your glue and you're gonna put your glue right along your chipboard here and a little bit down the side and then all over your flap here that we folded over. All right, and then bring that down again. And I like to, again, just go with my fingers first and then go with your bone folder again and make sure you get a really nice crease right in that, right along your cardstock where your chipboard, just like this. I'm going to grab my other bone folder that has a bit of a better edge for this. And then just do both sides. So it should look just like this. All right, so the same thing to the other side. Fold it over first. And then make sure it gets that nice crease along your chipboard. And then we'll add our glue, so right along the top of the chipboard and a little bit down the side, and then all over that flap. Then bring it down. And again, just kind of lightly press with your fingers first. Then go in with your bone folder on both sides. Just like this, okay? So then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your scissor and cut diagonally out from along your chipboard. So basically right where your crease ends, the crease that we've made beside the chipboard, you're gonna start cutting down to where your folded over paper ends. So you're gonna want about that much space there. Just like this. On all four sides. Just like this, okay? So then you can go ahead and fold over these side flaps. Just go slowly, fold them over and burnish them on both sides. So you should have two side flaps that look like this, okay? So now we're gonna bring back in our front and back covers. At this point, there is no front or back, so you can decide. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold one of my flaps down, I'm gonna add glue, and I'm gonna attach it along my side here, just like this. Okay, so I'm gonna add my glue. I'm just gonna take this tip off so my glue comes out better. I put it all over that flap. All right, then just attach it right along the side of, or well, whatever, the front or back cover. And you want them to be aligned straight together here. So So just like this. So make sure they are directly aligned. Then you can slowly open it and burnish them. Just like this. All right, so that's one of our covers attached. So you're gonna want it to look like this, okay? So we're gonna do the same thing to the other side. Fold down this one. Add your glue all over that flap. Get to the corners. And then just attach it right along the other side, well, the other flap, or sorry, the other cover. So you want them to be aligned straight here to each other. Then you can slowly open it and press that down, just like this. All right. And then that is basically your little cover created. So now what we're gonna do is you're gonna grab 2 strips of your lightweight, measure 1 inch by 6.5, and we are going to score them on the 1 inch side at 1/2 inch. So just score them right in the middle. And then we're gonna fold them over and burnish them for both. You can also just fold them in half if you'd like. Both works instead of scoring. All right, so then we're gonna take our scissors and from this corner here, so from the score line, you're gonna snip diagonally down, but not into your score line, okay? So it should look just like this. And you're gonna do the same thing for both of your strips. All right, so then what I'm gonna do is these pieces are gonna go in here to hide the chipboard here, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my glue and I'm just gonna put it on 1/2 inch section of our little construction strips, okay? And I'm gonna put that right along my chipboard on one side of my spine, and your piece should go all the way to the top and bottom. All right, and then you can burnish it. And then I'm gonna add glue to the other side. And fold that side over. And again, just with your fingers first. And then you can burnish with the bone folder. Just like this, and then kind of slowly lift it up and burnish in that section as well, okay? Then you're gonna do the same thing to the other side. So add your glue to one of your 1/2 inch sections. And attach it right along your spine. Just like so. And you can just press with your fingers first. Then use the bone folder, and then again add glue to this other 1/2 inch section and bring it down. And then you can go with your bone folder and then like this, okay? So then that hides your chipboard and finishes the inside there. All right, so now we're gonna add some pieces to hide all of our construction in here. So first, for the spine piece, you're gonna need a piece of your lightweight. There's 1 7/8 by 6 3/8. And I'm just gonna use my Fabri-Tac or Beacon glue, but you are of course welcome to use whatever you want. So just center it into your spine. So you have a little tiny bit of space top and bottom. Just like this. All right, then for our sides, you're gonna need 2 pieces that measure 5 1/8 by 6 3/8. So these are just 1/8 of an inch smaller than our covers. All right, so let's get started with page 1 of our mini album. So your base pages, all of your base pages are going to measure 5 1/4 by 6 1/4, okay? And on the 5 1/4 side, you're going to score at half and at 1, all right? I'm using 80-pound cardstock for my pages, okay? So I'm going to first fold just the 1-inch line, okay, just the 1-inch line, and then we'll leave our actual hinge line not folded, okay? It's just easier to work on a flat surface. All right, so then on the top of this, I have a flap that measures 6 3/4 by 4 1/4, and on the 6 3/4 side, you're just going to score half an inch, all right? And then we need to miter our hinge, so we're just going to from the score line out, just like we did for all of our construction strips, and from the score line out. And then we can go ahead and burnish this. All right, now I'm going to use my art glitter glue to attach my hinges. So I'm going to grab my art glitter glue and just add my glue to the top here. All right, and it's going to go at the top of our page. So it's basically going to cover our entire page, okay? It's going to cover the whole page. So that's how you know you'll have it in the right orientation, okay? Just like this. And then we can burnish and then open it up and burnish from the back. All right, then close that up. All right, so then on top of here, we're going to have a pocket, okay? Our pocket measures 6 1/4 by 5 1/4. On the 5 1/4 side, you're going to score it half and flip it and score it at half again. And on the 6 1/4 side, you're just going to score it half an inch. All right, and then by scoring, we've created these little squares in the corner, and we need to cut those out. So what you're going to do is you're going to cut across, and you're going to cut right below where your 2 score lines intersect. So right below that, just like this, okay? Then we are going to fold and burnish all of this. Just get nice crisp fold lines. All right, so that is our little pocket, and then I do always like to burnish from the top as well. Just give it a nice crisp burnish from the top, okay? All right, so this pocket is going to go right on top of our flap here, all right? So I'm at first just going to add glue just to this bottom flap first. And I am going to attach it. Make sure your flap would be going up. Going to attach it right along the bottom. So it should cover your whole flap, and then you can always pick it up and flip it over and make sure it's going the right way. All right, before I glue my other two flaps, I want to put a piece of tape along this hinge down here. This just makes it so when we put our inserts in that they don't stick. So just right along this bottom hinge, I'm just adding a piece of Scotch tape or wrapping tape, whatever you call that. And then I'm going to add my glue to my side hinges. And I'm going to bring those up and give it a burnish. Just like this, okay? So that's our pocket. So the top of our pocket is going to have two little flaps that come in from both sides. So these are sized to fit 3x5 photos. So the flaps measure 5 1/4 tall by 3 3/4 wide. And on the 3 3/4 side, you're just going to score it 1/2 inch. And I'm going to put one on this side and one on this side. And I'm just going to center them top and bottom, okay? So get your glue on one of your flaps and just center it top and bottom. It's about 1/4 inch that you'll have top and bottom. And then we can burnish this just like that. All right, and then you can burnish from the other side as well. Okay, so now the other flap is going to go on this side. So I'm going to add my glue to that. All right, and just make sure they line up to each other. And then you can burnish that down. Just like so. All right, so for the closure for these two little flaps, we're going to use a swing closure. All right, so I've got one of the little cutouts from the ephemera that comes with the actual paper collection. All right, and then I've got a piece of 3x5 lightweight white cardstock. So basically what's going to happen is I'm going to put this here, and I'm going to use a brad to attach this on here, and then this is going to swing out and close over this to keep it closed. So I'm going to first align my white piece on top of this flap here, just like this. And basically I'm going to put my brad about right here. Okay, so I'm going to grab it like this, and I am going to get something that I can poke into. So leave it about right there. So this is just some foam that I'm able to poke into. And then I'm going to grab a brad and a poking tool. All right, and I'm going to put my brad right about here. Okay, so then I'm going to grab it, put it through, bring it out, and then just close down my tabs at the back. Just like so. And then I just kind of take and press that brad down, and then we'll secure the brad with a little bit of score tape. So just a small piece of score tape, just like this. Okay, so now this whole piece is going to get attached on top of here. All right, so let's do that. So I'm going to remove the backing of my score tape, and I'm going to use my beacon glue to attach this. because I always like to work with this glue when I'm working with lightweight cardstock. So just get your glue all over that. All right, and then attach it onto this panel, leaving a nice even white border. Just like that. Kind of swing that aside to make sure it's pressed down nicely. So now when this piece comes over, this will swing over top. All right, so I don't think my swing tab is going to be strong enough to actually hold this closed, just because I have to put it a little bit far over, but I still really like the look of this. So I'm just going to do a little magnetic closure underneath it. So I'm just going to turn this over and just add a magnet to the back of my Santa here. So this is just a little magnet, and then some double-sided tape, and then I'm going to put a small piece of double-sided tape upside down, so sticky side up, and just let my other magnet catch. Then I'm going to take and bring this over to where I want it and kind of give it a just like that, and then my magnet will catch here. Okay, so I'm going to remove that backing, and then I've got a piece of 3x5 of the pattern paper from the collection, and I'm just going to add my glue to this. So again, just my beacon glue, and I'm going to place it right on top here, just leaving that nice even border all the way around. All right, so then that's going to close over and catch right there, and that's what's going to be our closure. I still really like the movement of this. I think it's really fun, but then that magnet is just what really secures it. So that is page 1. Okay, so page 1 is done. So now we're going to work on page 2. Well, at least the actual structure it's done. The decorating's not. So page 2 is going to have a flap that measures 6 3/4 by 4 1/4, and on the 6 3/4 side, you're going to score it 1/2 inch. Then we are just going to miter here, and then we can burnish this down. Just like so, just give it a burnish. All right, and then on top of this, we're going to have a pocket. So our pocket measures 7 1/4 by 4 1/4. And on the 4 1/4 side, you're just going to score it 1/2 inch, and on the 7 1/4 side, you're going to score it half, flip it in your scoreboard, and score it half. So you're just going to score half on both sides. So before we attach this, we need the envelope punch board. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up this score mark with the 1 1/4 inch mark here. Okay, so I'm going to line up that score mark with the 1 1/4 inch mark and punch. Then I'm going to flip it and align it again with the 1 1/4 on the other side. Okay, just like this. Then we're going to do our pattern paper right now too. So our pattern paper measures 3 1/4 by 6, and on the 6-inch side, you're going to line it up in the scoreboard, and you're going to line this edge, the cut edge, up with 1. So it's the last one you see before it goes under. So you're going to do that on both sides, line it up with 1, and punch. Okay, so then what we need is a metal ruler and a craft knife. So I've got my craft knife and my metal ruler, and what we're going to do is just line up our ruler on top so that it's lined up with the bottom of our dips, and we're just going to cut across. So that's the pattern paper. Then we're going to do our pockets. So just cut across just like this, okay? So let's go ahead and fold and burnish our pocket now. So fold and burnish. Just like so. All 3 score lines. All right, now we are going to cut across our corners here. Just remember right below where those 2 score lines intersect. Not above and not too far down either, okay? All right, so now I'm gonna get my flap back in. So this is the flap we just did. And this is gonna get attached on our flap on this side here, all right? So I'm gonna go ahead and what I'm gonna do the bottom first, or the side here, I should say. So add your glue to it, to the long flap, and then fold over your sides as well so you can see where you're lining it up, and line it up all the way along the left side of your flap. So make sure they're completely aligned. Just like this. Then we can burnish the whole thing. All right, then you want to open it. And I'm going to put my tape. This is a completely optional step. I just know this really helps with getting my inserts in and out. All right, and then I'm going to add my glue to my side flaps and bring them up, making sure everything stays nice and aligned, just like this. And then we can burnish. All right, so now the top of this pocket is going to have a belly band. The belly band measures 1.5 by 7 1/4, and on the 7 1/4 side, you're just going to score it 1/2 inch on both sides. So just go ahead and burnish those. All right, and I'm going to add glue to both sides at once here. And I'm just going to align it pretty much centered on top of my pocket, okay? And then we can burnish it down. All right, and now we can go ahead and slide our pattern paper piece right under there. So I'm going to use my beacon glue for this. Let's get it all over your paper. And just slide it right under your belly band. That looks so cute. All right, that is our little belly band. So now we can go ahead and attach this whole thing to the back of page 1, so to where you would put page 2. All right, so just add your glue to the flap, our little 1/2 inch attaching flap up here, and then just attach it all the way to the outside and all the way top and bottom. It will cover your whole page because it's the same size as your whole page. And I always just like to look from the other side, make sure it's aligned nicely. Then we can open it up and burnish it, okay? And then that finishes the construction of page 1 and 2. We are again going to need a base page. So it is 5 1/4 by 6 1/4, and on the 5 1/4 side, you're going to score at half and at 1. All right, and we are again just going to fold on that 1-inch line, just like this. Burnish it so we have a nice flat surface, okay? Then we're going to have a flap on top that's 6 3/4 by 4 1/4. On the 6 3/4 side, you're going to score at half an inch. And then we are going to miter just like this, okay? Just from the score line out. Then we can burnish this just like so. All right, so the top of our flap is gonna have a pocket on it again. So our pocket is 5 1/4 by 6 1/4. I'm going to grab my envelope punch board and we are going to punch in. We're gonna line this mark up with 1 1/4. Our score line here, we're gonna line it up with 1 1/4. Then flip it and line it the other side up at 1 1/4 as well, okay? Then we are going to use a piece of white cardstock. So this is just lightweight white that measures 4 by 5 1/2. And on the 4-inch side, I'm gonna line my cut edge up with 1, flip it, and line my cut edge up with 1. Okay, then I'm gonna grab my metal ruler and my craft knife, and we are just gonna cut out those centers, okay? So cut right across, just like this. And then the same thing for the other piece. Of course, if you don't have an envelope punch board or, you know, you don't like this look, this is completely optional. It doesn't really serve a specific purpose. It's just decorative. All right, so now let's cut across our corners here again, just right below where those score lines intersect. Then we will fold and burnish. So fold and burnish all your score lines, just like so. All right, now we can burnish from the top because you know that makes really nice and flat for us to attach it with. All right, so then we're gonna get our flap, and this is going to get attached right on top of our flap, okay? So I'm going to do the bottom first, just with my art glitter glue. I just refilled it, so it means business. Okay, so line it up all the way to the bottom of the flap and all the way to both sides, okay? Then we can open it and burnish. And I'm gonna grab my tape and I'm just gonna put some tape across the bottom of there, again, just so our inserts don't stick, but that's again completely optional. All right, so just get some glue on your side flaps and then we'll bring those up just like this. If you have any glue come out, just go ahead and swipe that away. All right. All right, now let's go ahead and put our white cardstock layer on top of the pocket. We're not going to be seeing very much of this, so that's why I chose not to use pattern paper here. All right, so just attach it right on top, just like this. All right, so then for the top of this pocket, we're gonna have a waterfall, okay? So just a 2-piece waterfall. So my waterfall pieces measure 4 1/4 by 4 3/4, and on the 4 3/4 side, you're just gonna score at half an inch. All right, now we can go ahead and fold and burnish these just like this. All right, now we are going to attach these right on here just like this. Okay, so I'm just gonna go about 1/4 inch below where my white starts there. And I'm gonna use my art glitter glue. So yeah, just about 1/4 inch below, just because I like that little white border look. I think that's sweet. All right, and it should go edge to edge. And if you do have any glue come out, just wipe that away. All right, and then the next one is just gonna go right below it. So again, just get your glue on there, just like so. And it's just gonna go right below the previous one. And then you can close it down and make sure they line up nicely, which they do, so that's good. All right, so now for down here, you're gonna need a piece of your cardstock that measures 1.5 by 2, and on the 2-inch side, you're just gonna score it 1/2 inch, okay? So 1.5 by 2, and I'm gonna go just burnish this. And I'm gonna add my glue. And I'm gonna center it on this panel here, all the way to the bottom, okay? So just center it in there as best as you can. Make sure it looks nice and centered. All right, just like this. Okay. All right, now for the closure for this little section here, what you need is a couple of pieces of ephemera from the kit. So this little piece is from the journaling cards and ephemera kit, and then these two I believe are from the paper collection itself. And then I just got a little piece of 1.25 by 1.25 paper here, pattern paper, and then a piece of 4x4 pattern paper from the collection, okay? So what I'm gonna do with this one, with this little one here, I'm gonna get something I can poke into, and I'm gonna use this little poinsettia, and I'm gonna put it right in the center here. And then I'm going to grab my pokey tool, and I'm gonna poke a hole right in the center of my poinsettia, okay, just like this. And then I'm gonna get a brad and put my brad through and open it at the back. And I'm just using white brads. And then again, I'm gonna press this down as best as I can. And then I'm gonna put a little piece of tape over that to secure it, okay? Then this whole thing is just gonna layer right on this little flap down here, okay? So I'm gonna remove the backing, and I'm just gonna use my art glitter glue because it's a small little piece. All right, so just layer it on here nicely. It's a square once you layer it on, so don't worry about the orientation of it, okay? All right, then for the top piece here, you're gonna get your piece of pattern paper, and then I'm using one of the little ephemera pieces. And then I'm also gonna use one of the poinsettias again. And I'm gonna place it so it doesn't really cover my cute little deer. Even if it's not perfectly centered, that is fine. All right, and I'm again gonna just poke a hole in that poinsettia. And I'm gonna put my brad through that hole. So it's gonna go through all 3 layers here. And it's gonna open at the back. Then again, you can use whatever you have handy to press that flat. And then I'm gonna put a piece of tape over top of it to secure it. And then I'm going to remove that backing. And I'm going to use my beacon glue. Okay, so just get it nice and close to all your edges, just like so. And then I'm going to place it onto this top flap here, okay? Just make sure it gets nice and centered on there. Really, really cute. All right, so then the next thing we need to do is grab some strings. So I've just got some embroidery thread here, but you could really use whatever you'd like. Nothing too bulky, I guess. And I'm gonna place it under my poinsettia here at the bottom. And I'm gonna make a knot, or I should say a tie. I don't really make a knot under here, okay? And then I'm gonna come back to the top again and make another tie so that evenly distributes the string under here. Just like this, okay? Then I'm gonna bring this up here and put it under my circle and bring it back under here, and then I'm probably just gonna go just those 2 times. You can go as many times as you'd like. And then I'm gonna cut off the excess, and then I'm also gonna cut off the excess under here. So that's that cute little closure. All right, now we're gonna get our base page back in, and this whole piece is just gonna go right on top of our base page. So I'm gonna use my art glitter glue. And again, it's gonna cover your entire base page. So just know that as you're placing it down, and as usual, you can turn it upside down and make sure that it's on correctly. And then we can open it up and just burnish this. All right. All right, now, so for the back of page 3, we're gonna do page 4. So we have our flap that's 6 3/4 by 4 1/4, and I scored it at 1/2 inch on the 6 3/4 side. And you can go ahead and fold and burnish it. All right, so then we've got a pocket that's 7 1/4 by 4 1/4. On the 4 1/4 side, you're gonna score it 1/2 inch. And on the 7 1/4 side, you're gonna score 1/2 inch top and bottom. Then we can just go ahead and cut across our corners. So remember, it's just right below where our score lines intersect. And then we can fold and burnish on our score lines. Just like so. All right, and then I'm going to bring my flap in. So with the attaching flap at the top, we're going to attach our pocket to this side here, okay? So I'm just gonna burnish from the top first. And add my glue just to the bottom flap for now. And I'm going to attach it along this side here. So it's going to go all the way top and bottom, and all the way to this side of our flap, okay? So then you can open that up. I'm going to put my tape on here, again, totally optional. All right, and add the glue for those side flaps. And just bring it down. And then we can burnish on both sides. All right, so the top of this pocket is going to have a stacked pocket. And the large one is going to be 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. So on one of the 4 3/4 side, you're going to score at half, and then at half on the other side. So score at half, flip it, and score at half again. And then on the other 4 3/4 side, you're just going to score on one side 1/2 inch, okay? And I'm going to cut across my quarters. Again, right below where those score lines intersect. And we can fold and burnish that on both sides. Well, all 3 sides, I guess. All right, and then we can burnish again from the top. All right, and then I'm just going to add glue first just to my bottom flap. And attach it right on top of my pocket, my previous side opening pocket, okay? Just like that, and then burnish. And then you can open that, and we will add a piece of tape across here, and then add your glue for the side flaps. And just close that over. Just burnish it nicely. All right, so the top of this pocket is going to have another pocket that measures 4 3/4 by 3. On the 4 3/4 side, you're going to score it 1/2 inch on both sides. And on the 3-inch side, you're just going to score it 1/2 inch. And again, we're going to cut across right below where our score lines intersect. And then we can fold and burnish these. All right, I'm going to add glue just to my bottom one. And then I'm going to close the sides over just so I can see where I'm going here. It's going to go all the way to the bottom and all the way to both sides. So just burnish it, open it up. Add a little piece of tape, and then add our glue, and then just bring that down on top of your other pocket, just like so. All right, so now this whole section is going to get attached to the back of page 3. So it's just going to get attached right here. All right, we forgot to miter these, so I'm going to do that really quickly. Add my glue. And just attach it all the way to the front of your page and all the way to the bottom. But again, it will cover your entire base page, so do not worry about that. And we can open it up and give it a burnish. That is the construction of page 3 and page 4. Okay, so page 5, we are going to need a base page again. So 5 1/4 by 6 1/4. And on the 5 1/4 side, you scored 1/2 and at 1. Then we are going to have our flap on there. So it's 6 3/4 by 4 1/4. And we are going to score at 1/2 inch on the 6 3/4 side. So we can go ahead and fold and burnish, and then miter our little corners just from the score line out. Burnish it. All right, then we are going to have a pocket on top. So our pocket is 5 1/4 by 6 1/4. And on the 5 1/4 side, you're going to score it half on both sides. So at half, and then flip it in the scoreboard, score it half. And then on the 6 1/4 side, you're just going to score at half on one side, okay? And then we can go ahead already and just cut across these corners, just like this. Then I'm going to grab my envelope punch board, and I'm going to align it to 1 1/4 and punch, and flip it, align it to 1 1/4 and punch. Got a little strip of my pattern paper that measures 1 inch by 4, and on the 4-inch side I'm going to line it up with my 1 and punch, and I'm going to line it up over here with my 1 and punch, just like this. Okay, so it's just going to look like this. Then I am going to grab my metal ruler and my craft knife. So let's do the pattern paper piece first. So just align them just like this. Just align your dips and cut across. All right, and then we'll do our pocket. So align your dips and cut across, just like this. All right, so now let's go ahead and fold and burnish on our score lines, just like so. All right, so then I'm going to also just burnish from the top. All right, now I'm going to bring my flap back in. So make sure that your hinge is at the top. And I'm going to attach it right on top of here, okay? So I'm going to attach my bottom first. So just the little bottom flap first. Attach it all the way to the bottom. Just like this. And then you can pick it up and align it. Make sure that it's all aligned the way you want it. Open it up, and then I'm going to put my little piece of tape across the bottom, and then glue on my flaps, just like so, and then bring those up, and we will burnish that. Okay, then I'm going to grab my little piece of pattern paper, and I'm just going to line it into the top here. I think I'll just use my art glitter glue just because it's small. All right, so just align it into the top, just like this, okay? So that there's an even border. All right, so the top of this pocket is going to have 2 flaps coming from the top and the bottom, okay? So for the larger one, you're gonna need a piece of your cardstock that's 4 1/4 by 4 3/4, and then on the 4 3/4 side, you're just gonna score at 1/2 inch. And I'm just gonna go ahead and miter, just like this. And then I'm gonna attach this piece right below my pattern paper piece, okay? So I'm gonna add my glue to the flap. And attach it right below the pattern paper piece. Just make sure it's straight all the way down. Just like that. All right, so now I've got another flap that's 3 by 4 1/4, and on the 3-inch side, you're just going to score at 1/2 inch. All right, and we can go ahead and miter this and burnish it. All right, and then I'm gonna add my glue. And I'm gonna attach it all the way to the bottom here on top of my pocket. Just like this, okay? All right, so then for the top of this flap, you're gonna need a piece of your pattern paper that measures 4 by 4, and I'm just gonna glue it right on top here. So I'm gonna use my beacon glue for that. So just get it all over there. And of course, if it's directional, make sure it's going the right direction. All right, so then for down here, for this piece, I'm just gonna use white cardstock that measures 2 1/4 by 4. So just 2 1/4 by 4. Just like this. And that's gonna go right here. All right, so now I'm gonna bring my large top paddle down and bring the bottom one up on top of it. And then I've got just a little piece of the ephemera, just one of the circles. And I've just attached score tape to the back of half of it, okay? So just the top half. And then I'm gonna kind of stick it down right on top, just like this. All right, and then that becomes the closure for this page. So it'll open up like this, and then when you're ready to close it, it'll just tuck right back under like this, okay? All right, so we need to attach this whole tab to our main base page. So remember, this is our main base page, 5 1/4 by 6 1/4, and on the 5 1/4 side, we scored half and at 1. And I'm just gonna fold it over here, just on the 1 inch mark for now. And then I'm gonna grab my glue and get my tape or get my glue on there. All right, and again, remember it is going to cover your whole base page. Just like so, but do try to get it more to the front than towards your hinge. Make sure it's aligned with the front. Then we can open it up and burnish it. All right, so that's page 5. So let's work on our last page, which is page 6. All right, so for the back of page 5, so page 6, you are going to need your 6 1/4 by 4 1/4 inch flap. And on the 6 3/4 side, you're gonna score ½ an inch. So we can just go ahead and burnish that. And then we will just snip across our corners of our flap. All right, so then the top of this has a pocket, and the pocket measures 7 1/4 by 4 1/4. And on the 4 1/4 side, you're just going to score it ½ an inch. And on the 7 1/4 side, you're going to score it half, and then again at half on the other side, okay? So we will fold and burnish this quickly. Just like this. All right, and then we can cut across our corners. So remember, right below where our score lines intersect on both sides. All right, so I'm going to take my flap, and my flap is going to be on here like this. All right, and my pocket is going to get attached on my flap on this side, okay? So my flap is up here, and I'm going to attach it to this side. All right, so I'm going to burnish from the top, just like so. All right, and then I am going to just add glue to to the bottom section, or I guess the side section I should say, and it'll get attached along this side of my flap here. So it is the same height as my flap, so it'll go all the way top and bottom. Burnish it from the back if I want. And then I'll open it up and add my tape across this section here. So across this whole section. And then add glue to my side flaps. Just like this. All right, and then just bring it down. Burnish it. All right, so the top of the pocket is going to have an angled pocket on it, or 2 angled pockets. So what you need is a piece of your cardstock that's 5 1/4 by 4 3/4. So 5 1/4 tall by 4 3/4 wide. And what you're gonna do is on the 5 3/4 height, you're gonna cut diagonally from one corner to the other. So I'm just going to do that with my craft knife and my metal ruler. So I'm going to align this corner here with this corner down here. So just make sure that they are aligned. And then I'm going to cut across with my craft knife. All right, so I'm going to take my first one and I'm going to fold it. I'm going to fold my score lines down like this, okay? That's my first one on this side. So fold the score lines down like this. All right, so then when we fold these sides over, you're going to see that we have these like tips here. We need to cut those away. So cut that one away and then cut that one away. And then we need to cut across down here, so right below where our score lines intersect, okay? And then you can fold it over at the back, and if there's still some overlapping, you can cut more away on this one here so that there's no overlapping. All right, so now I'm going to burnish. And then I'm going to grab my pocket back in, so my flap with the pocket on it. And this is going to go right here across this pocket. So I'm going to add my glue just to the bottom flap for now. And I'm going to attach it to the bottom of my pocket. Just like this. All right, open it up. I'm going to put my little piece of tape there. Right across it, and then I will put glue just on this side and bring it up just like that. If you get any glue coming out, make sure you wipe it away because it will stick your pocket closed and you don't want that. All right, and with the other one, just take it and align it with your other pocket. So just look at it like this, okay? So that your 5 1/4 height is here and your 3 3/4 width is here, okay? Then we're going to fold down these sides just like we did. And then you're going to fold it over and cut off those points for both of your flaps. Cut those points off. And then cut across your pocket, okay? And just make sure you don't have any overlapping. And then we are going to burnish from the top. All right, and then this is going to go right on top of the other pocket, right here on this side, okay? So I'm going to add glue to my bottom flap first. And align it right on top of my other pocket. Just like this, okay? Then I'm going to open it and put tape across here. Make sure you don't go into this section because then your pocket won't go all the way down. Just right here on this little section. And if it does go over at all, just cut some of it off here, okay? Because you don't want to close your pocket up. Then we're going to add glue to this section here. And then just bring that up. Just like this. So you will have a pocket in here. And then you'll have another one in here. And then you'll also have your side pocket here. You need a piece of white cardstock that measures 4 by 3.5, and we are going to cut diagonally from this corner to this corner, okay? So from the 4-inch, on the 4-inch height, from this corner to this corner. So just line up your corners. And I'm just going to cut across. Just like this. All right, so then one of your pieces is going to mat onto this pocket like this. And the other one is going to mat in here like this, okay? So let's glue these down. I'm going to use my beacon glue just because I want some wiggle room, wiggle time. And make sure you get all the way into your edges. All right, so slip it in there. Just like this, leaving your nice even border. All right, and then the other one's gonna go here like this. So I'm again just gonna use my beacon. Just like this. Just leave a nice even border all the way around. All right, so now what we need to do is take this piece and put it on the back of our main base page, okay? So I'm gonna grab my glue and just attach it. So remember, it covers the entirety of the base page, so don't worry about that. All right, and then you can open up your flap and burnish this down. All right, so now that all of the base page, like the basis of the construction is done, we're going to go ahead and attach our pages into our little album. All right, so what you're going to want to do is that 1/2-inch score line that we did not initially burnish, you're going to want to burnish that, okay? And we're going to start with the back page here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add glue to just my little 1/2-inch section here. Add my glue. And then I'm going to attach it right along this edge here. So not past the bending line, but just right along it. And just center your page top and bottom. You should have about 1/8 of an inch of space top and bottom, okay? And just make sure that it's nice and straight. Just like this. All right, and then the next one is just going to get attached right along this, right along the edge of this page here. All right, so we're just going to add our glue. So remember to burnish down that 1/2-inch flap, or 1/2-inch hinge, I should say. Make sure you get your glue all over it because this is what's securing it into your book. And then just attach it right along your previous page, and take your time with this. It's crucial that it goes down in the right place. So you definitely want to make sure that you're getting it in there nice and straight. All right, and then we'll do the last one. Again, make sure to burnish down that 1/2 inch score mark. Get your glue all over that. It's what's holding it in, it's what's securing it. And then just attach it right along your previous page, just like this. Okay. All right, so that is all of our base pages attached into our sweet little book. Okay guys, let's get started on decorating up our little inserts. All of these measurements are going to be in the cutting guide. So basically I'm just going to give you a quick overview of the measurements, and then I'm going to speed up me adding them. But all of the measurements will be in the cutting guide that will be linked to my Etsy shop below. Okay. So for the top here, just in this section here into our pocket, you need a piece of your white cardstock that's 1.5 by 4. All right, and then when we open this section, you're going to have 2 mats that measure 3 by 5. So one is going to go here and one is going to go here. And then in this center portion here, I've got some of the cute pattern paper that measures 5 3/4 by 4. All right, and then when we go under here, under our 2 flaps, we are going to have 2 photo mats that measure 4 by 6, okay? And then our insert that's going to go into this big pocket up here is 3 3/4 by 6 1/8, and then the insert layer is 3.5 by 5 7/8. All right, so I'm going to get these put on. All right, so I've got this one all layered up. Our Santa swings open, and we have a photo mat here if we want it. And then we have a photo mat here, and then some of our adorable pattern paper, another photo mat, and then the insert comes out as another photo mat. And then we have our 2 4 by 6 photo mats in here. All right, so now for page 2, the little strip that goes right here for the belly band measures 1 by 6. And then the strip that goes in here just to map the the back of like the actual mat or flat that's inside of here of pattern paper is 1.5 by 6. And then I have a little booklet that's going to go underneath the belly band here. So it measures 6 inches by 5 inches, and on the 6-inch side you're just going to score at half, so you're just going to score at 3, and that's going to create our little booklet. And then the photo mat that's going to go on the front of the booklet measures 2 3/4 by 4 3/4. And then for in the pocket here I have 2 inserts, so they measure 4 by 4. The pink pieces measure 4 by 4, and then the white layers for them measure 3 3/4 by 3 3/4, and these are going to go in this pocket here. And then for under here, I again have 2 4 by 6 photo mats. Okay, so I'm going to get that all glued on. And for the top of the belly band here, I want to do a little bit of embellishing. So I've got one of the little circles from the journaling cards and ephemera kit, and I'm going to glue it to the center of my belly band here. So I'm just going to use my art glitter glue, and I'm just going to put a little bit of glue right in the center. It's this cute little one with the gifts. All right, then I've got my little elf guy. So he is, I believe he's from the paper collection. And I'm just getting glue all over the back of him. And he's just gonna get right on here as well. Just right on top, like he's standing in front of the presents. Super, super cute. All right, and that finishes off page 2. So we have our cute little inserts that come out of the pocket here that'll fit 4 by 4 photos, just cropped down a tiny bit. And they just go in here. And then we've got our little booklet that'll fit 3 by 5 photos, cropped a little bit. That goes right under the belly band. And then we have our 2 4 by 6 photos under here, okay? All right, then for page 3, up here behind our pocket, you need a strip that's 1.5 by 4. That's gonna go right in here. And then the insert for the pocket is 3 3/4 by 6 1/8, and then the mat is 3.5 by 5 7/8. And then we have got one for inside of here. We have one 4 by 4 photo mat that's gonna go right here, and that's just the lightweight white cardstock. And then for under here in our flaps, we have 2 4 by 6 photo mats. So I'm gonna get that all glued on. so that finishes off page 3. So we have our little 4x6 photo mats in here, and we have room for lots of 4x4 photos in here, and then we have our nice big pull-out photo mat back here. All right, so for page 4, the strip that's going to go in here inside of our pocket is 1.5 by 6. All right, so then for these pockets here, what I did with one of the journaling cards is I cut it down to 3.5 inches wide, and then I cut it to 2.25 high. But what I did is I only cut to his antlers on both sides here, just about 1/8 of an inch away, and then I fussy cut around the rest of his antlers. Okay, that one is going to go right here. Then I have a little gift from the main paper collection, the ephemera sheet, and that's just going to go right here just to cover this this part of the word jingle, because it, you know, it doesn't really mean anything. So I'm going to put that right here. And then for here, I have a piece of my pattern paper that is 2 by 3.5, and then I have another one for up here that is 2 by 3.5. All right, then for the inserts that are going to go into these two pockets, for the shorter pocket here, the insert measures 4 by 3.25, and then the layer, the white layer, measures 3.75 by 3, and that's going to go in this pocket here. And then for the larger pocket, the insert measures 3.25 by 5.75, and then the insert layer measures 3 by 5.5. And then we are again going to have 2 photo mats in this side pocket here, so 2 insert photo mats. So they measure 4 by 4, so the pink is 4 by 4, and then the white layers are 3.75 by 3.75. And then for in here, we are going to have 2 photo mats that are 4 by 6. So let me get that glued down. All right, so we have our 2 4 by 6 photo mats in here, and then we have our 2 little inserts on the side here for our 4 by 4 photos, and then we have our 2 little photo mats in here. All right, let's move on to page 5. Okay, so for page 5, for in the top here, in the top of our pocket to go behind it, you're going to need a piece of your pattern paper that's 1.5 by 4, and then the insert for this pocket is 3.75 by 6 1/8, and then the white mat is 3.5 by 5 7/8. That's going to go in there. And then for inside here, I have a piece of the pattern paper that is 4.5 by 4, and that's going to go right here. And then I have a 4 by 4 photo mat that's going to go up here. And then for down here, I have just a little white mat that measures 2.25 by 4, and this is basically just going to be like a little journaling spot. So I'm going to get this all glued on. Two 4 by 6 photo mats in here, and then on the front here we have our nice large insert in the pocket. And then when this opens up, we have a spot for a 4 by 4 photo, some journaling, and you can even add a photo here if you choose to. I just think this little guy's so sweet to look at. All right, and then this just closes back up. And then let's move on to the last page. All right, so again, in here we have our two 4 by 6 photo mats. And then back here behind both of our diagonal pockets, we have a piece of QQ pattern paper that measures 3.5 by 6. And then in here, to go behind the side pocket, we have a piece of pattern paper that is 1.5 by 6. Then the insert for here measures 3.25 by 5 3/4, and the layer for it measures 3 by 5.5, and that's just going to go right on here. And then again, for our side pocket here, we have two photo mats that are 4 by 4, and then two photo mat layers that are 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. And then right here, I'm going to use the little elf girl, and she's from the ephemera plus journaling cards kit. So she is going to go right here just to go on the front of this pocket. Just make sure that you don't glue over here, so you'll still have access to this pocket. Okay, I'm going to get that all glued on. Right, so we have our 2 photo mats in here, our 4x6 photo mats. And then in our side pocket here, we have our 2 4x4 photo mats, or insert photo mats, however you want to call that. And then in here we have a nice large photo mat. And then you do still have this extra pocket here if you want to place anything in there. All right, guys, so for the front, inside, and back cover, we're gonna have the same layout. So for here, for this front cover, I have a piece of my cute pattern paper that's 5 by 6 1/4, and it's just gonna go right here. And then I have a silver mat that's 4 by 6, and my white lightweight cardstock that's 5 3/4 by 3 3/4. So they're just gonna layer together. And they're gonna go right here, kind of in the center of this. And then what I've done is I took the little, from the ephemera and journaling cards kit, I took the one, so obviously I cut it out, for day 1, and then I matted it on some silver cardstock, so I just glued it on and cut around it, and I kind of did like a whimsical kind of cut around it. And then I added some tape just to the left side here so that I can glue it on and then still be able to stick my photo behind there. So I did the same thing at the back here, the exact same layout, except back here I did the 25, right? So I thought it'd be really, really fun to put a picture of day 1, so December 1st, here right inside front cover, and then do all your other photos of the rest of December, and then do 25 back here. So like I said, I only put tape right here, so your photo will be able to fully slide under there once you get your photo that you want to put there. So this one is for Christmas Day, or the 25th. And then this one will be day 1 of December. So I'm gonna just get this all glued on. All right, so that finishes the inside of our book. So we have our spot for December 1st here, and then all of our other photo spots. So I did count, and this book will hold over 50 photos, and it's just a little 6.5 by 5 1/4 book. So definitely a lot of real estate in here for all of those amazing December memories. Okay, so for the cover of our book, on the front panel here, we are going to have a piece of our silver cardstock that's 5 by 6 1/4. And then we're gonna have a piece of our pattern paper that's 4 3/4 by 6. And that is gonna go here on the cover, okay? Then I have a little strip of our silver that's gonna go across. That's 1.5 by 4 3/4. It's gonna go right across here. And then I have a piece of the pattern paper that's 1 1/4 by 4.5, and that's gonna go right here. All right, and then on top of this, I have a tag that I die cut, and then so I die cut out of white, and then I used the silver. It comes with a reinforcer. And I die cut that from silver, and it is gonna go on top here. And then I also cut these like birch trees. It's also a die cut. It's gonna go about here. And then my little tag is gonna go there. And then I also die cut this little like star wreath, and it's gonna go there. And then from the ephemera collection, I've cut the deer. This is, the tag is popped up if I didn't say, and the deer is also popped up, and he's gonna go right across there. And then I've also die cut the word Noel, and it's gonna go like at the bottom of my tag here. So I die cut it once out of silver and once out of pink, and it does come with the inlay of the word and the outline. So I'm doing the silver outline, and then I'm gonna do the pink inlay, and I'll link all these little die cuts below. Okay, so that's just gonna go like this. Okay, and then that's gonna be the cover. And then for the back of the book, I cut a piece of silver that's 5 by 6 1/4, and then this adorable pattern paper layer that is 4 3/4 by 6, and that is just gonna go on the back of our book here. And then for the spine, I cut a silver piece that's 2 by 6 1/4, and then I cut a pattern paper piece that's 1 3/4 by 6, and that's just gonna go on my cover here. So let's get that all glued on. All right, so now this whole book is just gonna go into our box that we created for it. So it's just gonna go right in here like this. So remember, the tutorial for the box is linked right below. I've already created it. And the cutting guide for the box and the book is linked below to my Etsy shop. They'll be in the same cutting guide, okay? So you can head over there and pick that up for all your measurements. It's gonna have your chipboard, your cardstock, your pattern paper, your silver cardstock, your mats, your layers, everything's going to be in there for you. So that's linked right below. So I again want to thank Rosa Kelly for letting me join in on this super fun hop for her new collection. I absolutely love the Santa Love collection. It's so sweet. So I will just pull this out so you can kind of see them side by side again. I love the tiny reindeer here and the big one here. I love that whole look. So thank you so much for joining me for this, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Bye-bye.